name's Joey Druzek. I've been a fan of metal for 14 years now. Metal has always been a big part of my life. And a lot of people tend, when they look at metal, to look at the maybe violent lyrics, aggressive fan base, and the chaotic concerts. But what they don't understand is the chaotic concerts, the violent lyrics, and the aggressive fan base are a way for fans of heavy metal to show themselves, like expression. Today, I will have the assistance of.
My name is Brett Druzek. I've been playing drums now for about 25 years, in and out of bands, heavy, death metal, grind, rock. I'm a big fan of Slipknot, of course, Black Dahlia Murder, bands like Cradle of Filth, things like that.
My name is Kyle Hodnett, and I listen to a lot of hardcore music, a little bit of metal, and a lot of old school punk. So that's my connection since I was about 14.
I'm Brendan Boyd. I don't listen to a lot of it, but I do listen to some metal music and.
Hello, my name is Steven Costa.
Personally, when I think of metal, I always think of the maybe violent lyrics, the drunk fan base, maybe being more aggressive than what society tends to view music fans. And everybody's gonna let you kind of see what they think of metal.
I think a lot of times you've got quite a stereotype of fans like that. Certainly there's a lot of people that dress in black, makeup, things like that. You also have people like me, people like my brother, anybody just loves it, does something for them, really gets you going. As far as changing any of those perceptions, it's a difficult question to answer, I guess, but people are always going to have their opinion about the way people look. I'm guilty of it myself. I just think sometimes maybe just be a little more open to it, listen to it. I know a lot of the times it's hard to understand the lyrics. A lot of times if you read it, though, you can really see where the person's coming from.
All right. What's a stereotype that you think of when you think of metal music?
Stereotypes that I think of are headbangers and whiplash, and then of course the idea of potheads, drunkards, and sex-crazed perverts.
Why do you think that's a thing?
I don't know why it's a thing. I can only think to myself that, like I played in a band, and in some of the band, I'd say there were 4 of us, and of the 4, I was the only one that didn't use drugs or drink, and so there are a lot of kids that live up to the stereotype, but then again, there are a lot of kids that don't live up to the stereotype.
And do you have any interesting stories, connection to metal?
I just go to a decent amount of shows. Other than that, I play music, and so that's my connection. It really is. I mean, when I was younger, it kind of expressed some of the anger that I would feel just when I look out and I see problems in the world, and so that anger just kind of that. And plus the idea with hardcore, because hardcore is a little bit more positive than some of the lyrics in metal. So you had the positivity of the hardcore infused with the anger that you kind of see with the world around you and the problems that you see. And so I guess that's my real connection, is expressing some of that frustration, but in a more positive light.
That's it.
It's stereotyped a lot for being like satanic or about drugs and alcohol and just violence. And I just see it kind of as a way for people to get their feelings out and express those things, alleviate themselves from the anger and stuff. So I think it's pretty cool.
If I was to put myself into one stereotype of metal, I would have to say I fit in with the death metal and deathcore kids. I just enjoy going to shows so much. I like hearing the bands live. I am always impressed by the skilled musicians in the bands. Everybody at the shows are always super nice people. You have a lot of fun moshing at shows and just jumping around, banging your head, screaming, just getting out all your energy. It's a lot of fun at shows. Um, I would say my connection to metal would be playing guitar, drums, and doing vocals. And I primarily do drums. I've been playing since I was 6, and I really focused on the metal drumming when I was about 9 or 10.
I remember the first time I heard really heavy music. You know, heavy to me before then was stuff on the radio like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, things like that. Bands I love, but I remember I was maybe 10 or so, sleeping on the couch. MTV, believe it or not, used to play music videos, and there was a band called Death on there, very old death metal band. And just the drums were, it was something I never heard before. It was ridiculously fast, and I just said that's incredible. I want to do that. That band still tours now, and that's really my first exposure to hearing something that I guess extreme.
All right. What's a genre that gives metal like a bad reputation, like a subgenre?
Sure. I remember when stuff was really coming out, when Black Dahlia Murder was just coming out, when everybody wore the really skinny jeans, really small shirts. I remember them coming to a place in Fayetteville called Jester's, and the picture on the poster, like, just really funny looking. We all looked like that back in the day. But I think now what really is odd to me is these extremely, very heavy bands. You think of like really just tough guys, so to say, really mean type deal, and these guys now that just look like girls trying to do it. To be honest with you, that's the kind of stuff that tries to make you sometimes want to separate from it. But there's always a new band to reel you back in.
I know you mentioned the Black Dahlia Murder, but what else was a band that you just heard randomly one day and said, I really want to go into this?
Yeah, when I was about 7th or 8th grade, Slipknot was out, Wait and Bleed was out, and that was before, they really broke it with subliminal verses and things like that. And 9 people, costumes, outfits was just nuts to me, but it was really cool, really heavy. Another band that I really liked, not really death metal or anything, but certainly very heavy, was Mudvayne. I worked a week straight with my brother, for nothing more than that CD. That's all I wanted payment-wise was LD50, and that was just a tremendous band to me. A band I really tried to mimic the drum style of. Everybody loves Metallica, and that's probably really what got me started. Just if I could really have to dig back.
What was your first metal show, like first concert?
My first metal concert, going back to what I said about hearing those drums for the first time, the only concerts I had ever been to were all country concerts. I guess I didn't realize there was an underground scene for bands that were touring, trying to start out. I was at Edwards Music in Fayetteville, and a guy was giving out flyers for a show that night. And I went, and the band was called No One Wins. Obviously, you guys are in Wilmington, so I hope you've heard the band He Is Legend before. That was No One Wins was He Is Legend a long time ago, and it just, when the music started, it was just in your face, like literally screaming, crowd engagement, just massive pit there, and it was nuts. That I was in 8th grade, and that was the first time I had ever saw that.
What do you think it would take for maybe extreme metal or more heavy versions of metal to come back in like the mainstream spotlight?
You know, it's hard to say now. You know, I think people think mainstream is just what's quote popular. You know, whether it be Taylor Swift, you know, stuff like that. I think now with the internet, the way you just you can grab my phone and hear something right here. You know, there's a ton of popular bands. You go to festivals like, you know, Carolina Rebellion, which obviously we've been to, and all that. You really see how popular these bands are, playing on the massive stage. You know, Slipknot's been doing it 20 years, and last year they played in front of 60,000 people there, us included, and that was just something to witness. You know, I don't think it's ever going to be, you know, on your common radio stations. You know, but again, now everybody has satellite radio, Sirius, so Liquid Metal is there, and that's a tremendously popular station. So, you know, I guess you could consider it mainstream. Those artists aren't going to sell millions of records, but, you know, that doesn't mean they're not successful.
I can remember my first album I ever bought was Slipknot's Iowa. It was the first time I'd ever heard that style of music, the more aggressive kind. And at the time, I really just, like my uncle said, I really just wanted to see more into it and get like what he was trying to say. People give metal a bad reputation because of its maybe more aggressive lyrics and aggressive fan base, but what people don't understand is that's just a way for us to express ourselves in a maybe less organized manner, but we're letting out all the pent-up frustration that we hold throughout the week. Last year, me and my dad went to the music festival up in Charlotte, the Carolina Rebellion. We're going to go this year, and it was probably one of the best days of my life. It was a 2-day music festival of hard rock and heavy metal, and it really showed that different ethnicities, different religious, and different backgrounds just in general all unite to just sit around and watch metal bands play. Metal is kind of like a brotherhood to where no matter where you're from, you always sit down and listen to it. Metal is not only known for its more violent lyrics, but it's also politically driven lyrics. With songs like Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth, I tend to think that metal influences my political stance, on which it influenced my view on society and politics as a whole. Carolina Rebellion was another eye-opening experience. It showed not only different backgrounds can get together and enjoy metal music, but also different backgrounds in bands, such as this year a band called Baby Metal, which is a Japanese metal band, performed at the Rebellion. A bunch of Swedish bands performed there, and the crowd loved them. It was insane. I was in the crowd for Baby Metal, and it was probably the best show I've ever seen in my life. I think metal has a bad reputation in the media because people don't understand it as a whole. And hopefully with this documentary you saw maybe a spotlight that you didn't see on metal. Maybe you finally understand it as a whole. And thank you for watching. That's what fans of metal look like right there. Hi, my name is Joey. God, Taylor. All right. All right, I'm just gonna. And Taylor.
I wish I could zoom in.
Hardcore. and enjoy metal music, but it also show not only different backgrounds can get that together and got tripped.
Oh, dude! Oh,
He's in on my bag, is he?
he flew right there. He flew like right on your leg as soon as you. We should probably get your bag out of there. Just
Slowly. Slowly. There's nothing valuable in it besides my portfolio. Alright, you pick it up and toss it to me. I'm running. There were so many yellow jackets.
back up, back up.
Excuse me, sir. Alright, Ricky, you gotta redo that.